Okay, next we need to remove the shifter. So go ahead and pull your trim piece up. Just grab it and pop it up. There's little tabs on the bottom. Be careful not to break them or anything. Pull the whole thing out, put it in the back of the seat of the car. Okay, after you have your shift knob removed too, you got 4 12mm bolts you need to remove the rubber boot. I'm sorry, they're 10mm. 4 10mm bolts. Then you go ahead and grab the boot and pull it up out. Now, as you can see, this car here is like really dirty. Always had a lot of leaks. You have 4 12mm bolts there and there, and then you have 2 more up front there. You're going to have to get under the car to get the 2 up front because you can't get to them from inside the car. So I would recommend using a ratcheting wrench on the 2 up front there to get under the car. I'm going to go ahead and remove these in the back here. And over here, right in front of where this bolt is, underneath, there's a spring down there with a check ball. Just for future reference on that. It's not a high tension spring or anything, it's just a little small spring. So it's not going to kick up. Okay, after you have those 2 up, last 2, you need to get the last 2 right there in the front. Okay, showing you on this SR transmission here, you can see the 4 that we removed there. And then there's the 2 up in the front that you have to remove from underneath the car. It's a pretty tight spot, that's why I recommend using a ratcheting wrench. After you get those 2 off, the whole assembly will pull up out through the inside of the car. Now you got all 6 bolts removed, you're going to grab the assembly and pull the whole thing up. Alright, like I said before, there's a spring there. Just pull it out. That's what the spring looks like. And then the same hole you got that out of, there is a check ball down there. You need to take a magnetic wand to remove that. Just stick it down the hole all the way to the bottom. And it pulls the check ball out right there. You can leave those in there, but they're easily lost, so I'll go ahead and pull them out and put them in a baggie. Okay, before you go to install your shifter, make sure your spring's installed and your check ball. We'll go ahead and install it back in. Be careful not to drop it into the transmission. That would be very bad. It goes in that hole right there. And then your spring's going to go in there. Okay, next you want to take some RTV and RTV gasket on the bottom of your shifter. If you do not have the paper gasket, I'm going to go inside all the bolt holes, just like everything else. Okay, now we're going to install our shifter. You want to keep it up as high as you can so the RTV don't hit the spring or anything, so you can get it overhead and then smash it down. You want to get it in there, take a bolt, put it in the back, line it up, and go ahead and start to thread it in a little bit, and then you can smash the shifter plate down to the transmission. So you don't mess your RTV gasket up. The longer bolts go on the back. There's 2 longer bolts, they go on the back. And the other 4 bolts are the same size. They're 12mm bolts, there's 6 in all. You're going to do 4 right here, and the 2 in the front you're going to get from under the car. If you want to torque these, you can torque them to 12 to 14 foot-pounds. Of course, the 2 in the front you're not going to be able to torque. So I just like to get them pretty snug where you feel comfortable with. By now you should have a feel for 12 to 14 foot-pounds with a regular socket rather than a torque wrench. Now we'll go underneath the car and get the 2 front bolts when he gets his bolt done. The 2 12mm bolts on the front, I'm not going to be able to show you those because he's going to be under the car and there's no way I could video that because you'll be up in the tunnel. But basically, you just need to drop your cross member down just a little bit so you can get the bolt installed, and then you thread it in by hand, and then take a 12mm ratcheting wrench, and I would turn it the opposite way and go ahead and tighten it down like that. That's really the best method because you're not going to be able to get a ratchet on there. So a ratcheting wrench will be the best method on that. Okay, now we're going to remove the stock shifter. You need to pull the rubber boot up. Ours is torn, so we're just going to go ahead and take it completely off. Okay, next you have a snap ring inside there, so you need some snap ring pliers. It basically sticks in the holes, squeeze it together, and it pulls it together, and then you pull it up. Okay, those two holes right there, that's where the snap ring pliers go in, and it pulls those two together so you can pull the ring out. Okay, after the snap ring is removed, just go ahead and pull the shifter assembly up. Just pull up on the whole thing, it'll come straight up. Okay, on the new shifter here, we're using the Fidanza shifter. It's the short shifter. You can see the notches on the ball there go in the little pins right there on the transmission. Down in the hole there is your striking arm hole. A little piece of plastic on the end here goes down in there, and the piece of plastic here goes around the circle hole right there. Make sure the angle of it is pointing back instead of forward. And we'll go ahead and install it in the hole. Just push it down in there, and take the plastic, push it down in there. Okay, next you want to put your other piece of metal down. You do not need a snap ring anymore, you just need to put this on top. And then your other piece comes in on top of that, where it has little wings on the bottom of it. That actually, those little wings, they grab onto the shifter. Like right here, they kind of come off the shifter just a little bit. There is a notch around the outside of the shifter. You're going to grab onto that, and that's what locks it on. And then you have the Allen bolts to tighten it down with. The Fidanza short shifter uses a 3/16 Allen bolt. Okay, you need to remove one of the Allen bolts on each side so it'll swing out. And on the bottom, on the other Allen bolt, you need to thread it in probably one turn so it'll be down far enough so it'll grab the lip on the shifter there. We'll go ahead and install it on there now. You have to press down on it so the plastic piece on the bottom of the shifter there will go down. Take a little bit of finessing to do it, a little bit of maneuvering, but you will be able to do it. And after you get it in there, you want to install both Allen bolts on the sides. Make sure you get both sides, because if you start tightening one side up and the other side's not in, it will not go in. Okay, basically what we did to get ours started was you're going to pull up on the wing right here and press down on the plate on each bolt. Get one started just a little bit, and then go to the other side and get the other one started just a little bit, and then go ahead and tighten them all down in crisscross patterns a little bit at a time so it'll go down flush. And tighten them all down to where you feel comfortable where they not come loose, and your short shifter will be installed. Noticing now that we got it installed, this is the only way you'd be able to do it. You would not be able to do it outside the car and then install the plate with the new shifter on it, because as you can see, you would not be able to get to the 12mm bolts around it. So you'd have to install the plate first and then install this inside the car, just like we just did it. Okay, after we've installed this Fidanza short shifter, we went to shift gears on it, and it shifts horribly. After you get it tightened down enough on the sides there, it's too tight, it presses down on the ball too much, and it's really hard to shift. So you got to loosen it up enough where it will shift properly. It's still a little too tight, and plus your Allen bolts are going to come out. They will vibrate out. So I do not recommend using this short shifter. I would go with the B&M or the B&M knockoff.